Welcome to Queer News Tonight, and this is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily television news. We're broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show, with nearly 11 million views on the only daily live queer news show in the world. We are proud that we have had more than 1,000 new subscribers in November, and that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. Over 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days, and we thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our community. It is Monday, December 2nd, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories, your important stories, we're going to tell on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community.
Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social, justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience. Our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
I'm lead anchor this evening, Al Ferguson. Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. First, let's welcome Yvonne Rohrbacher. Yvonne is a 35-year activist in South Florida and the founding vice president of Pride Center of Equality Park. Yvonne, you are facilitating Zen Pike, Looking Back, Looking Forward, a workshop on December 16th. It's going to be online. Tell me about what's happening.
Yes, an interactive Zoom workshop. I'm partnering with a great new 501c3, LGBTQ owned and run, but no limitations there on speakers or events or attendees. And we'll be facilitating an interactive workshop about once a month. This is our third. It'll be about reflecting on 2024 in order to start to formulate a vision and some goals for 2025. And we're going to have a lot of fun. It's just going to all be fun stuff and exercises.
We talk
don't
about,
miss it.
We talk about entertainment stuff all the time. An educational program is a nice change of pace for us. Zen Pike, I'm not so familiar with the branding of Zen Pike. Tell me about that.
It's a new 501c3 organization that grew originally out of a spiritual community called Center for Spiritual Living, and is now a separate organization that's really dedicated to putting together offerings, events, travel trips, and these online workshops, just really around personal fulfillment and personal growth.
Was that the Center for Spiritual Living that was in the area, in Wilton Manors area?
Yeah, well, yes, and it has moved now. It's near Commercial Boulevard and Dixie Highway, so it's in Oakland Park still.
Great.
And this is something that spun off from the center's educational programs a while back, and now they do all these awesome fun trips where they include some mindfulness and meditation and touring.
Awesome.
And some fun events. On January 4th, there'll be another event I'll probably talk about that's going to be in person. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Zen Pike. We're going to have to remember and follow them. Next, let's welcome Edward Otto Zielke. He is the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. Edward, the Gay Men's Chorus is presenting the big holiday extravaganza event at Hard Rock Live with this guy, Todrick Hall. Todrick Hall on December 17th. Tell me what's happening.
Yeah, this is our 8th season performing on the Hard Rock Live stage. We're so blessed to have them as our season sponsor for this season 15, our milestone anniversary season. So we're very excited. You can definitely get tickets on our website. Go to gmcsf.org. I do have to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsors that are sponsoring this. The Westin Fort Lauderdale Beach Resort, Amazon, we have Cleveland Clinic, Florida, we have Cann Community Health with Midland, and we have Tito's Handmade Vodka. It's just so amazing to see all of the support that we're getting from our community partners. It's inspiring.
And we just learned why Edward is so good as the marketing director.
Brand.
And Todrick Hall, he is, I'm such a fan of his. Straight Outta Oz, you know, Wicked is so topical right now. What do you think we can expect in Todrick's participation? Reveal everything.
Yes.
Right?
Well, you know, not a lot has been revealed to me, but what I can say is that there's just going to be a spectrum of everything that you'll see from Todrick Hall. So you'll probably see some wonderful moments from him singing to outlandish dancing that you might see too. So I think you're going to be very highly entertained, and you'll be surprised at how versatile he is. I mean, he's so wonderful. He's worked on Broadway. He's a dancer, choreographer. He's been on Drag Race, The Masked Singer. So, you know, he's got a lot of great credentials now. And I think he's performing right now in London, I believe.
Yeah, and there is nothing like a cultural event in the LGBTQ community to be on that stage at Hard Rock Live. It's just quite amazing.
It's incredible, and I just get to have a small part in the beginning just to stand on that stage, and I'll tell you, it's breathtaking.
Yeah, and for the South Florida community, if you have been under a rock for the last number of years, it's the signature event for the Christmas season for the LGBTQ community. Don't miss it. Next, let's welcome Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 plus years of experience in human resources, media work, live events, and casting. Larry, Rainbow Sports League is set for its 2025 sports season with a new event lineup. The bookings are open, and most of these events are going to be at Mickle Park right here in Wilton Manors. Tell me what's happening.
Yeah, that's right, Al. Had an opportunity to speak to one of the principals, Bill Doyle, who is affiliated with the organization. And many of the events will be at not only Mickle Park, which some of you may know between Andrews and Powerline in Wilton Manors, but the adjacent Mills Pond Park in Fort Lauderdale. So it's exciting to me because, you know, growing up, I was not a jock, but I enjoyed playing, you know, when it was a social and having fun. I remember being out on the cul-de-sac. So I think the thing I wanted to promote in this story was that it's all inclusive, all levels acceptable. They have a trial week, January 7th, coming up in 2025, right around the corner after the holidays, to have an open play, as they call it. So it's $10 a session. It looks like a lot of fun. I live 2 blocks from the park, so I've been watching them have all this fun and pageantry. And of course, they have all these flyers and banners and things and team colors. So you can play competitively. You can do the one-offs for the first week. They have a social group, and then if you're really competitive, they have a competitive edge. And they will be highlighting doing not only kickball, which I was always good at, what a surprise, but soccer, and then also pickleball. So they're trying to, you know, rotate and mix up what they did last season. But I think it's something to, you know, if someone wants to get out, maybe after the holidays, you eat a little bit too much like myself, get out there and work it off. I have no excuse. It's literally 2 blocks from my house. So, and then I'm also on the West Side Association board. So I need to make a showing at Mickle Park and check this out.
You know, one of the things that I thought was interesting, I moved here for Hotspots and Happening Out 7 years ago. And one of the things that I was not aware of was the very active intramural sports program in LGBT. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do not realize the reason why you should follow the Softball League and the Rainbow Sports leagues is we have among the largest intramural sports program of the entire nation here in Fort Lauderdale and Broward County, and it's not just one sport; it is sport after sport after sport, and we have. It's interesting to me that you do this story about what's getting ready to happen for the new season. Is if you're hyper competitive and really, really great, there's space for you. If you are not hyper competitive and really, really not great, then there's a place for you. What you do is you participate in the event, and then you go to Hunter's or to the pub afterwards, and it's a grand old time.
Thank you for including that. One of the things that Bill Doyle mentioned is, there's an opportunity afterwards to have the camaraderie, Hunter's, the pub. I think he mentioned Gym Bar and, of course, Lit.
Right.
So I think it's a great opportunity. And, certainly I want to check it out. I was probably one of those kids growing up through elementary through high school where I was one of the final two. And it was like, please let me at least not be the last.
Right. So, well, and who does it better than LGBT?
Exactly.
Pretend like we're great at sports and then go to the bar and have a drink.
Exactly.
Sounds wonderful to me.
Think of the sports clothes, though, that they're wearing.
Absolutely.
Those are fabulous of the last few years. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I just want one of those to wear.
That's great.
Just buy the merch.
They said there's room for everyone, Vaughn.
That's right. Check it out. All right. Next, let's welcome Vaughn Biggs. He is a community outreach coordinator at Holy Cross Health. Vaughn, Holy Cross will be giving vaccines at the Eagle on December 12th. Tell me about what's happening.
That's right. We've partnered now with the Eagle for a couple of years. And about every other month we go out and give vaccines to the community. A lot of the vaccines we give are free. You don't ask for your insurance information. And it was really important, especially when Mpox was going on, when we had that virus going on, and nobody in the gay community wanted Mpox, clearly. But we gave a lot of those vaccines during that time. And we're not offering Mpox anymore because it's not the health threat that it used to be to the communities. But we do have flu because we're in flu season. So people need to come out, get their updated COVID, get the flu shot. We've got meningitis, hepatitis, and we give out HIV self-test kits too for people to take home and do self-testing for HIV.
Excellent. Vaughn, one of the really interesting things to me about this story is that the Eagle would invite a healthcare provider into the club. And that, in lots of places around the country, that may not be kind of a natural thing.
Right.
Maybe at pride centers or, other pride events, other kinds of activities. But this is really in the heart of the culture of Wilton Manor.
Right.
How did that happen where the Eagle and Holy Cross Hospital and Holy Cross Health came together to say, hey, let's do this? How did that happen?
Well, I started with Holy Cross a couple of years ago, and when I started, I was working with another department within the hospital that handles vaccines. And the discussion was, how can we get out into the community? And I knew the owner of the Eagle, and I kind of suggested it because I was doing something through the HIV Planning Council to where we were going to be having a discussion really about sex in the community, especially the leather kink community. And we invited Holy Cross then to participate as someone to come in and give vaccines while we had a discussion and had presentations and a panel. And it just kept going from there. Chuck was very happy and wanted,
Chuck King
wanted us to be there. And so we are.
Yeah. Well, good for the Eagle to do it and good for Holy Cross. It's a great event. Make sure you show up. Well, we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for December 2nd. Here's a big story today. Will LGBTQ media and advocates chase Trump and GOP crazy down every rabbit hole for the next 4 years? The attacks on Trump and the radical GOP are fully underway. But critics ask if LGBTQ media and advocates are going to chase every story down endlessly through the rabbit holes over the next 4 years. What do you think? Well, it's a disturbing situation to me because every time MSC reports something, it seems to just send us into the stratosphere of here's the crazy that we are experiencing from Trump and the GOP. And I'm already really, really tired of it.
I agree. I've been limiting my news, watching because, I need to focus more on positive things, and things that I can control right now. So, I limit, to the weekends just to get a recap.
I would have to agree that my hope is, and what I would certainly encourage in anything I'm involved in, is that we're planning proactively to just be stronger and more active than ever, rather than spending any time on, what's the latest crappy thing.
I feel like at times it's, hey, look over here or look over there type of a feel when they're doing things, and when the media attacks in some ways, it kind of makes us lose focus and we stop focusing on the positive things.
And, I have to say, one of the things I do, especially coming into this position more, is listening to what the other side is saying. It's not that I sit there and make my whole experience, my whole day about that. But, I listen, I don't want to plug them right now, but there's certain AM stations in this market that I listen to because I think it's important to understand and be proactive and understand where they're coming from, what might be happening next. But one of the things I said on a previous broadcast is, I think we need to tap on the shoulders of anyone within our LGBTQ plus community who are technically savvy in looking at artificial intelligence, monitoring that. I think that's going to be something that can hurt us, or it can actually boost us up. And if we're on the side of technology and we look for our partners in our community or our allies, I think it's something to look at. Additionally, as some people have said already, it can be exhausting watching the news, sort of like a ping pong match. You're like, what's next? So
Here is a big story today. Elton John shares his struggles with vision impairment and its impact on music while promoting Elton John Never Too Late, debuting December 13th on Disney+. Is our LGBTQ plus icon actually going blind? What do you think? Well, I did a little reading about it this morning, and it seems like, yes, he is definitely suffering a lot of vision loss. And one came from a trip in one of his eyes where he got infected, and his other eye isn't so great. So I can relate to vision problems, as some of you may guess. But yeah, it's very sad when an artist has to go through something like this.
Well, especially those of us that are old enough to remember when he was young enough to not even think about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, as time marches on, fortunately, he's been so successful that anything that can be done, or anyone that can help him continue to work, even if he is sight impaired, I hate to say look at Stevie Wonder, but
you're right.
That he has the means and the people around him, I would hope, to help him keep going.
It's a sad story to me because if I can be a selfish gay man for a moment, it makes me realize age is something that we can't escape. And when we watch an icon like Elton John, we realize there's an inevitability in life in every possible way.
Mm-hmm. And that's true. I mean, I remember him being one of the first, even before he officially came out as a young person, hearing, DJs sometimes say wonderful things about him, but also sometimes alluding to his gay secret life back in the day. And he's always been a hero for me. I've gone out and seen his concerts. So any kind of advocacy too he can do for the visually impaired. But as Yvonne said, it's not necessarily the end of his career. I mean, he has a long career, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him having another final farewell tour and then another farewell tour. Like many of the others. Yeah, you read my mind. So, I think, he can use this as a positive, and certainly, hopefully he knows all of his fan base are there to support him as well.
Yeah. Here's a big story today. The Supreme Court will review Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, a decision with major implications for LGBTQ and healthcare rights. Will the December 4th case, U.S. versus Skermetti, forever change how America takes on the issue of trans? What do you think? I am not surprised to find, as I was reading on this, that the Senate and the anybody associated with the legislature in Tennessee has not one scientific fact or citation or scholarly article or doctor behind them at all.
Right.
And that's why most of the transgender bills that are on the table across the country right now have already been vetoed by their governor.
It's so important for our community to definitely, stand in solidarity with trans, at this point, because it's going to get very rough for them for the next 4 years. And, as an ally, I always want to support and be an advocate in any way possible. So, bringing awareness to things like this, I think, is very important.
I think it's great. Us in Florida, we've already fought some of these battles. And as we've said before, other states are going to see this coming.
Yeah, and I thought, I came from the New York, New Jersey area, and I thought the activism days were done for me, and then we moved down here 5 years ago. And I'm glad that I'm here and I have the experiences I do, and I'm with a wonderful group of people, so we have an opportunity. I've also had the opportunity to work with wonderful trans actresses and producers, notably Donna Davis and Candace Kane at Marriott's Mary Productions. And it's even more important now that we support our trans brothers and sisters. I know some folks up when I worked, on the sidelines out of healthcare in my dream profession, working in film and video. There are people up there who are scared too. And I think we need to be supportive. One of the things I saw, and I wish I had it here, looking at the Native American people, this is nothing new. We're evolving as a world and a society, but you look at, the Native American peoples going back centuries before we even had colonized this country and other countries where, there were two-spirit people. There were people who didn't have one gender affirmation, and there was a lot more fluidity, and a lot of those people who were gender fluid were highly revered in the society. And it would be wonderful to think, if we would flash forward a few hundred years from now, that's where we would be again with our colonized society.
I think we're in a situation where this is going to be an over-the-top victory, or it's going to be a devastating defeat. And I'm currently in the latter column, but we will see.
Here is a big story today. A Reddit thread explores why some queer men share revealing photos online with a visible face. They discuss the thrill of it, privacy risks, and evolving societal norms. Some are blaming Grindr and gruff app culture for a change on how gay men think about revealing photos. What do you think? Well, I have to look at it. I've personally known people who have said that they have been blackmailed. People actually came out and said, I want cash, otherwise I'm going to out you to your profession, your family, your friends. There are other people, of course, who, if they're doing it, they don't care. I think from my generation being the end of the baby boomers, I've always been a more private person. But it's interesting to think, it's something where we're evolving. As a community, you see people in the straight community do it with their dating sites. So I think it's just an evolution. I think we have to be careful, though, and mindful that we want to keep the right wing in their place and just remind them. You look at Getz and that whole debacle, and, what can I say? I mean, there's so much hypocrisy out there. We want to, I don't hit me, but we want to support anyone leaving our country, and we don't want to stir the person so they go back crazy.
Vaughn, what do you think?
I think for me, I'm someone that uses the app, so I have no problem with it, but I'm vocal that I do use them, so it's not a threat to me.
Well, I'm outing myself because I do use it, and I definitely have my profile on there. And, I'm at a place where I'm pretty comfortable and sharing what I share. And, it's been an evolution for me because I struggled with it too. And, I've had issues with body dysmorphia and will people like me, and it's kind of getting to a point where, I just don't care what people think anymore. So maybe it's wisdom does come with age.
Yeah, and that's great. My only concern would be, are there people that aren't aware of the privacy dangers that they're exposing themselves to? If you are aware and you go for it and don't have anything to worry about, great. but I would just hope that they've educated themselves first about the possibilities.
We we're gonna explore this in overtime. Yvonne, let's move on to
Here is a big story today. The AIDS Memorial Quilt honored 105,000 lives, displayed on the White House South Lawn, with Biden leading tributes on World AIDS Day. It is likely the last Biden tribute of the LGBTQ community during his presidency. What do you think? Well, I don't think it'll be the last we'll hear from him, but probably, fortunately, yes, this is the last time we're going to hear from him before the presidency ends.
I think that, we may not see an act like this in the next 4 years within the next presidency. So, I appreciate that within his last, weeks of, office, that he's recognizing us in this way. Mm-hmm. So, bravo.
Yes, sad but true. We may have to be grateful that we had that recognition, because we may not see World AIDS Day from the White House next year.
I support what everyone's saying. It's we can be hopeful.
Yeah, and as he goes out and ending his term and transition on January 20th, we can be incredibly grateful to President Biden for his support of our LGBTQ community. Well, those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Stay tuned for Queer News Tonight Overtime as we take a detailed look and have extensive conversation on each of today's most important queer stories.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Yvonne Rohrbacher, Edward Otto Zielke, Larry Farver, and Von Biggs, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. And then all of our stories in Queer News Tonight's Overtime. To our LGBT world, we wish you love, generosity, bravery, while being transformative and queer. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.